Universal Studios, Burbank, California. Summer 1954. Tuesday afternoon, 2:47 p.m. The San Fernando Valley heat presses down on the studio lot like a weight. Asphalt shimmers. Palm trees stand motionless against a white blue sky. The kind of California afternoon where even the air feels tired. Inside stage 12, the temperature is worse. The massive soundstage has no air conditioning, just industrial fans that push hot air from one corner to another. The smell is distinct: sawdust, fresh paint, electrical cable insulation warming under Klieg lights, and that particular scent of old canvas backdrops that have absorbed decades of cigarette smoke and sweat. 3 Mitchell cameras on wheeled dollies. 30 crew members moving with practiced efficiency. Grips adjusting apple boxes. The script supervisor checking continuity notes. The director of photography conferring quietly with his gaffer about a lighting setup that isn't quite right. A makeup artist standing by with powder and a comb, waiting for her cue. This is a factory. A dream factory, they call it. But on the floor, it feels like any other factory. Hot, loud, relentless. In the middle of all this machinery stands a young man. His name is Clint Eastwood, Jr., 24 years old, 6 foot 4 inches tall, broad shoulders that still carry the build of a man who spent his teenage years hauling lumber in the Pacific Northwest. Dark blonde hair combed back, clean-shaven jaw, blue-gray eyes that don't quite know where to look. He wears a costume, period clothes for a film set in the 1890s. The wardrobe department dressed him 2 hours ago. The collar is too tight. The boots are too stiff. He hasn't broken them in yet. Clint has exactly one line in this picture. One line. He's been on set since 6 a.m. Sat in the holding area with the other bit players. Drank bad coffee from the craft services table. Read the same page of his script 40 times until the words stopped making sense. Now it's his turn. The assistant director, a man in his 50s with a clipboard and a voice that cuts through the ambient noise like a knife, calls his name. Eastwood, you're up. Clint walks to his mark. A piece of tape on the floor. Yellow, frayed at the edges. Dozens of actors have stood on this same piece of tape. Most of them never worked again. The director sits behind the camera. His name is printed on the back of his canvas chair, but Clint doesn't remember it. He's one of the contract directors Universal keeps on salary to churn out B pictures and fill the bottom half of double features. Competent, professional, not interested in art, interested in staying on schedule. The director looks at Clint, doesn't say anything, just looks, assessing, calculating, deciding in real time whether this tall kid with the awkward posture is going to cost him time. Let's see it, the director says finally. No introduction, no direction, no encouragement. Clint clears his throat. His mouth is dry. He should have taken another sip of water. Too late now. He delivers the line. His voice sounds strange to him. Too high. Too careful. He's trying to enunciate, trying to project the way his acting teacher told him to project. Fill the room. Command the space. Let them hear in the back row. But there is no back row. There's a camera 6 feet away recording everything. Every blink. Every swallow. Every moment of uncertainty. The director watches. Says nothing. Clint waits. The silence stretches. 15 seconds. 20. The crew is watching now. Not obviously. They're professionals. They keep working. But they're watching. Again, the director says. Clint delivers the line again. This time he tries to add something. A little more emotion. A little more something. He's not sure what. Just more. Because clearly the first take wasn't enough. The director leans back in his chair. Looks at the script supervisor. Looks at the assistant director. Looks back at Clint. Still nothing. Clint feels sweat gathering under his collar. Not from the heat. From something else. The feeling a person gets when they know the answer is wrong, but they've already written it in ink. The assistant director walks over. He's seen this before. He knows what's coming. It's part of his job. The unpleasant part. The part that doesn't appear in the credits. He stops next to Clint. Speaks quietly. Not cruelly. Just matter-of-factly. The way someone tells another person their parking meter expired. You're done. Go see wardrobe. Return the costume. Pick up your voucher at the production office. Clint doesn't understand immediately. I have another scene tomorrow. The courtroom scene. Not anymore. The words land like a physical thing. Heavy. Blunt. What do you mean? The assistant director glances back at the director, who's already looking at the next setup. Already moved on. The decision is made. The machine keeps running. You're not what they're looking for. It happens. Go see wardrobe. No apology. No explanation. No constructive criticism. Just the end. Clint stands there for 3 seconds longer than he should. Not arguing. Not protesting. Just processing. Then he nods. Walks off the set. The sound of his boots on the concrete floor echoes through the soundstage. 30 people hear it. None of them look up. In Hollywood, watching someone fail is bad luck. Superstition. People avert their eyes. Pretend they didn't see. Clint walks down the narrow corridor between two massive set pieces, past the holding area where the other bit players sit. They look at him. They know. They've been here long enough to recognize the walk. He goes to wardrobe, a small room that smells like mothballs and dry cleaning fluid. Returns the costume to a woman who barely looks at him. She's already pulling the next costume for the next actor. He changes back into his own clothes. Blue jeans, white t-shirt, brown leather jacket that he bought used from a surplus store. These are the clothes of a man who digs swimming pools and works construction between auditions. He picks up his voucher at the production office. A slip of paper worth $75. 1 day's work. Scale pay. Then he walks out of the soundstage into the brutal white sunlight of the Universal backlit. Outside, the world is indifferent. Cars move through the studio streets. Executives in suits walk between buildings, scripts under their arms. A group of dancers in costume walks past, laughing about something. Somewhere, someone is shooting something. The factory is still running. But Clint Eastwood is no longer part of it. He walks to his car, a 1949 Ford Coupe. Faded blue paint. Cracked windshield. It barely runs. He shares it with 2 other guys from the acting class he takes at night. He gets in, sits, doesn't start the engine. The vinyl seat is hot from sitting in the sun. It burns through his jeans. He doesn't move. He stares at the steering wheel. Not crying. Not angry. Just sitting. Around him, the parking lot bakes in the heat. A plane passes overhead, descending toward Burbank Airport. Somewhere, a door slams. Voices. Laughter. Clint asks himself a question. Not the question most people ask when they get fired. Not why me. Not what did I do to deserve this. He asks, why did that happen? Different question. Different psychology. One question focuses on emotion, victimhood, the unfairness of the world. The other focuses on mechanics, cause and effect, what went wrong and how to fix it. Clint doesn't know the answer yet. But sitting in that hot car in the Universal parking lot, he makes a decision. He will find out. Most actors, when they get fired from a bit part with one line, take it as a sign from the universe, a sign that maybe this isn't for them, a sign that maybe they should go back to whatever they were doing before they got the ridiculous idea that they could be in movies. Clint Eastwood could have taken it as a sign. He'd been working construction, digging swimming pools in the valley. Good money, honest work. No one fires a person for having the wrong face. Before that, he'd been a lifeguard at Fort Ord while serving in the Army. Before that, logging in Oregon. Before that, a steel worker in Seattle. Clint knew how to work with his hands, knew how to show up, do the job, collect the paycheck. That was real. That was solid. Acting was something else. Acting was standing on a piece of tape while 30 strangers judged whether a face looked right under lights. Acting was saying one line 50 different ways and still being told it's wrong. Acting was auditioning 20 times to get one job that paid $75 and lasted 1 day before they fired the actor. Any rational person would quit. Clint doesn't quit. He sits in that car for 20 minutes, thinking, calculating. Then he starts the engine and drives home. Home is a small apartment in West Hollywood. 1 bedroom, shared with another actor named Jack. They split the rent, $60 a month. It's not much. Thin walls. No hot water after 8 p.m. Roaches in the kitchen. But it's close to the studios. Close to the acting schools. Close to the dream, if someone still believes in that kind of thing. Clint parks on the street. Walks up the exterior stairs. Unlocks the door. Jack isn't home. He's working the lunch shift at a diner on Sunset. Clint has the place to himself. He takes off his jacket. Opens the one window that isn't painted shut. Sits on the edge of the bed. The room is sparse. A bed. A chair. A small table with a hot plate. A shelf with a dozen books. Acting theory. Stanislavski. A biography of Spencer Tracy that Clint bought for 35 cents at a used bookstore. On the table is a stack of variety magazines. Trade papers. Casting notices. Clint has been circling editions with a pencil. Most of them say the same thing. No experience necessary. Must be willing to work for scale. He looks at those magazines now. Thinks about what just happened. Tries to break it down. What did the director see that he didn't like? Clint doesn't know. That's the problem. In construction, if someone does something wrong, someone tells them. Move that board. Level that post. Dig deeper. Clear instructions. Clear corrections. In acting, no one tells anyone anything. They just fire the person and move on. So Clint has to figure it out himself. He replays the scene in his mind. The way he stood. The way he spoke. The way he tried to add emotion to the line. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe he was trying too hard. That evening, Clint goes to the acting class he attends twice a week. It's held in a converted garage in Glendale. The teacher is a former stage actor from New York who came to Hollywood in the 30s, didn't make it, and now makes a living teaching other people who probably won't make it either. But he knows technique. He knows Stanislavski. He knows the method. He teaches his students to find the truth in every moment, to connect with sense memory, to live truthfully under imaginary circumstances. Tonight, there are 8 students in the class. They sit in folding chairs arranged in a semicircle. The garage smells like mildew and old coffee. The teacher asks if anyone has anything to share. Clint raises his hand, tells the class what happened. Got fired. One line. Didn't even make it through the first day. The other students nod sympathetically. They've all been there. This is Hollywood. Getting fired is part of the curriculum. The teacher listens, thinks, then asks Clint a question. When you delivered the line, what were you thinking about? Clint considers this. I was thinking about saying the line right. Loud enough. Clear enough. The way you taught us. The teacher nods slowly. That's the problem. Clint doesn't understand. The teacher leans forward. You were thinking about acting. You were thinking about technique. You were performing. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? No. The teacher stands. Walks to the center of the room. Acting is not performing. Acting is being. The camera sees everything. It sees when someone is trying. It sees when someone is pretending. It sees when someone is in their head thinking about how they sound. He points at Clint. The camera doesn't want a person to act. It wants them to exist. Clint thinks about this for the rest of the week. Exist. What does that mean? He starts watching movies differently. There's a revival theater on Fairfax that shows old films for 50 cents. Clint starts going 3, 4 times a week. Sits in the back row with a notebook. He watches Spencer Tracy in Bad Day at Black Rock. Watches Gary Cooper in High Noon. Watches Humphrey Bogart in The Maltese Falcon. He's not watching the plots. He's watching the actors. How they hold their faces. How they move. How they listen. He notices something. The great actors do less. Spencer Tracy barely moves his face. Just small shifts in his eyes. Tiny adjustments in his posture. But the audience feels everything. Gary Cooper stands still while everyone around him panics. His stillness becomes the center of gravity in every scene. Humphrey Bogart talks fast, but his body is relaxed. Casual, like he's not acting at all. Like the camera just happened to catch him living his life. Clint writes in his notebook, less is more. Don't try, just be. These aren't new ideas. Every acting teacher says them. But Clint is starting to understand what they mean. They mean stop performing. Stop trying to be interesting. Stop adding things that aren't there. Just stand in the truth of the moment and let the camera find it. 6 months pass. Clint takes odd jobs. Digs ditches. Unloads trucks. Works as a stagehand at CBS. He needs money. Needs to eat. Needs to keep the dream alive long enough to get another shot. He keeps auditioning. Most of the time, he doesn't get callbacks. Sometimes he gets callbacks, but doesn't get the part. Once, he gets the part, but the production falls through. This is normal. This is Hollywood. For every actor working, there are 1,000 actors waiting. But something is changing in Clint. He's not desperate anymore. Desperation is a smell. Casting directors can detect it from across the room. It's in the way someone sits, the way they smile too much, the way they agree with everything being said. Clint stops being desperate. He shows up to auditions like he's already got the job. Calm, centered. If they want him, fine. If they don't, also fine. There will be other auditions. This attitude, paradoxically, makes him more appealing. 1955, a year after getting fired from Universal. Clint gets an audition for a television show, a Western called Rawhide. The producers are looking for a young cowboy. Second lead. The character's name is Rowdy Yates. A drover on a cattle drive. The show will follow a crew moving cattle from Texas to Kansas. Every episode, a new adventure. A new town. New problems. It's not a movie. It's television. In 1955, television is still considered the minor leagues. Real actors do films. Television is where people go when they can't get film work. But Clint doesn't care about that anymore. He walks into the audition room. 3 men behind a table. Producer, director, casting director. They ask him to read a scene. Clint reads, but he doesn't perform. He doesn't add emotion. He doesn't try to impress them with range or technique. He just says the words like a real person would say them. Calm, direct, present. The men behind the table look at each other. Do it again, this time with more energy. Clint does it again, exactly the same way. One of the men smiles. You don't take direction, do you? Clint meets his eyes. I take direction, but the character wouldn't say it with more energy. He's tired. He's been writing for 12 hours. He's not trying to impress anyone. He's just talking. Silence. Then the producer laughs. You're right. Okay, we'll call you. 2 weeks later, Clint gets the part. Rawhide will run for 7 years. 217 episodes. From 1959 to 1965. It's not glamorous. They shoot in the California desert. 100-degree heat. Dust storms. Long days. Bad scripts. The same storylines recycled with minor variations. But Clint treats it like graduate school. Every episode, he practices what he learned. Do less. Be still. Let the camera find the truth. While other actors are emoting, gesturing, trying to steal scenes, Clint is just being. Standing, watching, listening, and the camera loves him for it. Slowly, the fan mail starts coming in. Not for the lead actor. For Clint. For Rowdy Yates. Women write letters saying they like how quiet he is. How he doesn't need to shout to be strong. Men write letters saying he reminds them of cowboys they knew. Real cowboys. Not the Hollywood kind. The producers notice. By season 3, Clint is getting more screen time. By season 5, the show is practically built around him. He's not a star yet, but he's becoming something. Becoming someone people recognize. Becoming someone the camera trusts. 1964, Clint gets a call from his agent. An Italian director named Sergio Leone wants him for a film. A Western. Shooting in Spain. Low budget. The major studios passed. Every big star said no. The script is strange. The main character has no name. Barely any dialogue. Just a man in a poncho who walks into a town and plays 2 gangs against each other. Most actors would say no. It's a foreign production. No Hollywood credibility. No major studio backing. And the character doesn't even talk. But Clint reads the script. And he sees something. This character is everything he's been practicing for 10 years. Stillness. Presence. Economy of motion. Letting silence do the work. He calls his agent back. I'll do it. Clint, this is a step backward. You're on a hit TV show. Why would you do a spaghetti western no one's ever heard of? Because it's the part I've been waiting for. Almeria, Spain. Summer 1964. The desert landscape looks like Mars. Red rocks. No trees. Nothing alive except scorpions and vultures. Sergio Leone is a madman. He shoots 15 takes of a man walking through a door. He spends an entire day filming a close-up of Clint's eyes. He makes Clint stand in the sun for 40 minutes without moving because the light is perfect. The crew thinks he's insane, but Clint understands. Leone is making a different kind of Western. Not about heroes. About survival. About men who don't talk because words are a luxury in a world that kills people for showing weakness. Leone tells Clint, do nothing. Just stand there. The camera will see everything. Clint smiles. He's been practicing that for 10 years. The film is called A Fistful of Dollars. It's released in Italy first. 1964 becomes a sensation. Then Germany, France, England. Finally, 1967, it comes to America. By then, Leone has already made 2 sequels. For a few dollars more and the good, the bad and the ugly. The trilogy makes Clint Eastwood an international icon. The man with no name. A character who doesn't explain himself. Doesn't justify. Doesn't perform. Just exists. And in existing, becomes mythical. 1971. Clint is the biggest box office star in the world. He's making $750,000 per film, plus percentages. He's been offered every script in Hollywood. He could have any role he wants. A journalist from Life magazine interviews him, asks him, what was the turning point in your career? Clint thinks for a long moment, then says, getting fired. The journalist laughs, thinks he's joking. But Clint isn't joking. Getting fired from that first role taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way. What's that? That trying to be what someone else wants will never work. You have to figure out what works for you, and then do only that. Nothing extra, nothing false, just the truth. The journalist writes this down. The article runs with a photo of Clint on the set of Dirty Harry, holding a .44 Magnum, squinting into the sun. The caption reads, "The man who does less." 1992. Clint is 62 years old. He's been acting for 40 years, directing for 20. He makes a film called Unforgiven. It's a Western, but not like the Westerns that made him famous. It's about an aging gunfighter who's killed too many men, whose body doesn't work the way it used to, whose legend has outlived the man. It's a film about consequences, about violence, about the myth of the Old West versus the reality. Clint directs it, stars in it. The studio is nervous. Westerns are dead, they say. No one watches Westerns anymore. Clint makes it anyway. The film opens. Critics call it a masterpiece. It wins 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. At the ceremony, Clint walks to the stage, accepts the statue, gives a 30-second speech, thanks his crew, thanks the actors, sits down. No tears, no long stories, no jokes, just gratitude. Simple, direct. The audience gives him a standing ovation, because Clint Eastwood, even in victory, does not perform. He just is. 2004, $1 Million Baby. Another film Clint directs and stars in. A story about a boxing trainer who takes on a female fighter. It becomes a meditation on dignity, choice, and letting go. The film wins 4 more Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. Clint is 74 years old. 2008. On the set of Gran Torino, Clint is directing a scene. A young actor is struggling, over-rehearsing, trying too hard, adding things that aren't in the script. Clint watches a few takes, then walks over, puts a hand on the actor's shoulder. Stop trying so hard. The camera will find you. Just be in the moment. That's all you need. The actor nods, takes a breath. They shoot the scene again. 1 take. Perfect. That's the lesson Clint Eastwood learned on a Tuesday afternoon in 1954, walking off a soundstage at Universal Studios with no job, no prospects, and every reason to quit. The lesson wasn't about talent. It wasn't about luck. It was about patience, about letting go of the need to impress, about trusting that if a person stands in the truth of who they are, the world will eventually see it. Universal Studios fired Clint Eastwood in 1954. By 1971, he was the biggest star in the world. By 1992, he won Best Picture. By 2004, he won it again. He never worked for Universal again. He didn't need to. Some rejections aren't endings. They're clarifications. They're the moment a person discovers who they really are, by learning who they're not supposed to be. Clint Eastwood learned that in a hot car in a studio parking lot, and he spent the next 70 years proving it. Yillardir bu settlerdiam, sciences yildisla callistum. Alma Clint Eastwood jibisai az jeller, o bambaska buradamdi. On unlakalismak, her film satind olmaktan sak, a data bur ustalik dursi jabidi die. Her zaman hazar likli, her zaman odaclamis. Clint, I seen seji duyen, zamanin kaimatini bilan buriidi. Sani I burvea iki sikimd bidarudi, fazlasina garek duamazdi. O abardalai bur f saint dejel, sadis I seen tut kila bagli, kararli bur profisioneldi. Herkasin vaktine degger verudi. Settlerd sakin bur atmosfer yerider, o yunkularin rahat hisetmasini siglardi. Bu, onin verum liligen siriidi. Disciplinely yazam tarzi, Erkin kakip exercis yatmasi, onin set disindaki kara liligeni de gastarudi. Yasina ragman hala actif almasai, Sinmaya olin bitmine askanin burkanatidi. O jersectin ilham verisai buradam. Clint Eastwood un kalisma alaki, sadis bur yanetman vea o yunku isen dejel. Bu sector diki herx isen, bird dursnitelligent dieter.